this magnificent, and it is in progress. So yes, I need to be on point here, just like everyone else. So welcome to this meeting of online presenters on the 31st of May, 2021. Wow, nearly a whole year has elapsed and you've been with us. So thank you for doing that. So online presenters is where we come and develop our online presentation and webinar skills. That's what the club is all about, and a bit more. You'll find out soon. For the benefit of everyone, this meeting is being recorded and will be used for promotional and/or educational purpose. If you do not want to be recorded, please turn your screen off. However, we'd love to have you on screen as much as possible, to have as noise-free an environment as possible, so that we can enjoy our speeches and hear from you. We are inviting you to keep your audio on mute, and also please use the chat as often as possible. Try not to use it during speeches, but use it in between speeches, and do share your feedback to our speakers. On this note, he just told us he's never been introduced. Well, let me do the honors. He's our president. He's a distinguished Toastmaster. He's taking on a lot of Toastmasters roles since last year, since I've known him. Please put your hands together or wave crazily for our President Nik Lakhani. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Christian. Appreciate that. Welcome to Online Presenters. This is, as Christian said, the place where we learn online skills, digital skills, webinar skills, number of different things. And one of those things is about setting up high performance events. And I keep banging on about this. You see a lot of backgrounds on the screens here today. VTM Con is coming, 26th and 27th of June. Hands up who's taking part. Hands up who's actually going to go and do something on that day. There you go, a lot of you. I want you to put your hand up too. Whatever it is, just go help out. And one of the things that I'm going to speak about in my speech today is about VTM and what I learned from that process as well. Now, we have a speechathon today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our Toastmaster of the day. Please welcome PID Carol Prahinsky.
Thank you. Woohoo! It's so great to be a Toastmaster again. Oh, I haven't taken this role in a long time. You're next, by the way. All of you are standing up for this, yes? Next week? No? I'm just kidding. Let's get started. This was not a good humor, was it? Putting you on the spot like that. Let's get started. We have some helpers to help us make sure that this day is effective. Our first helper that I'd like to introduce is our timer. Please join me in welcoming Eliza Ann Warren Russell. What's your job today, Eliza Ann?
Hello, everyone. I am your timer for today. And just a word of caution, if you go over the time, I will be muting you, so be careful. So for our speeches, we have green at 5 minutes, yellow at 6, and red at 7. You have 30 seconds to wind up, or else you'll be muted. For our evaluators, we're going to go at 2 minutes. We're going to get the green. At 2.5 minutes, you get the yellow, and at 3 minutes, you're going to get a red. Same process. Our table topic speakers, you're going to get a little bit of a chance to slide. Maybe you're going to go at 1 minute, the green, 1.5 minutes, the yellow, and at the red, you're going to get 2 minutes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Eliza Ann. Woohoo! We look forward to your leadership tonight. Please join me in welcoming our watcher, Jeanette. I'm going to mispronounce it. I'm sorry. Jeanette Francois.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Toastmaster. Tonight, I'm your watcher, and I'm going to be looking at your screen, so that I'm going to be looking at the screen, first of all, to see, first of all, your virtual backgrounds, the way you're framed, and I'll be looking at all those things. And I'll also be looking at how beautiful you all are. So back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Oh, that was so sweet. I like that. We're beautiful people, aren't we? Just take a moment, soak it in. We don't always hear compliments, and it's nice to hear it. Thank you so much. Our chat monitor. Da, da, da. This is a person who gets to monitor all the talking. Lois, tell us what your role is, Lois.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I have the most exciting role in the entire meeting because I get to watch that chat box. I'm going to be watching, noting everything that you're saying, and at the end, I will give you a report. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. And guess what? Today's a speechathon, which means we have the ability to go whoop, like 20 million speeches and whoop, 20 million evaluators. But it's not happening. Why isn't it happening? Because we only have 4 speakers signed up and 4 evaluators. It worked out perfectly. So we are going to get this. We're going to insert some table topics. Sound good? Yeah, we're going to have some table topics. Woohoo! And we also have a little bit different on the general evaluation sequence that I want to let you know about. Our general evaluator today will be a guest speaker coming in from Parliamentary Procedures, and she represents, she's a charter member and a sponsor, I believe it was, for the Virtual Parliamentarians Club. Oh my gosh, this sounds fun, fun, fun. And she is going to just be giving us the general evaluation. So I will do the honors of introducing the evaluators tonight, and I look forward to that. I'm going to pause here and just double check that I'm not missing anything. Christian, am I missing anything?
You are not, madam. You are on cue. And yes, we are going to have Zoom polling at the end. So I'll watch for your cue.
That's right. So when you're listening to the speakers, and then the table topics, and then the evaluators, I want you to think which one is the best, and you get to vote for them. It's going to be done through polling, and Christian will set up the polling for us, and then we get to find out the answers of who we thought were the best speakers today. With that, let me introduce our first speaker. You excited? Are you? Okay, we didn't talk about the word of the day. We don't have a word master today. We wanted to go a little light, but the word of the day is commence, meaning beginning, to begin. Therefore, let me introduce commence with our first speaker. It's from the Presentation Mastery Level 3, Increasing Knowledge in the Persuasive Speaking Manual. Commencement speech. Imagine what you will say if you were asked to give the commencement address to graduates at the community college where you work. Today, Dr. Emily Thompson will give such a speech as an address now. Let's listen as she guides us and inspires us with the family sayings that have helped her on her path. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Emily Thompson. Yay!
Thank you for that kind introduction, Madam Toastmaster. I'm truly honored to be asked to address the graduating class of 2021. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Madam Toastmaster, Madam President, officials of the platform, faculty, friends, family, and especially graduates. Commencement is a time where we close one chapter of life and open the next. Today, we will celebrate your successes so far and give you words of inspiration for your future successes. Just as the path that got you here was sometimes smooth and sometimes rocky, so will your future path be. I'm going to offer you 3 family sayings that have helped guide me and inspire me on my path in the hopes that they will help guide you and inspire you on yours. The first is do it now. Do it now. It's just like that Nike saying, just do it. And for the same reason, this saying helps to inspire you when you might not take action. I find in my own life, The things I regret are the ones that I don't do, not the ones I do. So this urges us to take action. For example, as you approach the fall 2020 semester, weren't you thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be online. Should I continue or should I go on? And you just said, do it now. And then you're sitting in these seats right now at graduation. I salute you for your ability to make that decision and continue down your path. The second saying is, you are enough. You are enough. No matter how you say this saying, it means that if you reach deep down inside, you can accomplish the things you wish to accomplish in life. You have the fortitude, that means guts. You have the abilities, you are developing them, you find mentors, and your success knows no bounds. For example, during the pandemic and even before, didn't you sometimes have trouble with your academics? Didn't you have that math class that you just had a hard time getting a passing grade in? Or what about that English class where the teacher never gave you the A? Or maybe you had to work really, really hard for it. Didn't you find a way to succeed even when you had obstacles? Didn't you find a tutor? Didn't you talk to your professor? Didn't you form a study group? These mean that you are able to reach inside and find the resources you need to succeed in your future paths. The third family saying is, consider the seventh generation. You might wonder what this means. It comes from the law of the Haudenosaunee. This is an Iroquois saying from the indigenous people of Northeastern America. It means when you make a decision, don't just consider yourself and your children. Go out 7 generations and consider how it will affect that generation as well. My husband and I learned about this saying when we bought reusable cloth grocery bags from the company 7th Generation, and they were made out of sturdy canvas cloth. We carried groceries in our grocery bags. We carried children's clothing in these grocery bags. We carried children in these cloth grocery bags. They were that sturdy, and they lasted 25 years. The problems of making a sustainable society, the problems of solving climate change are only going to occur through collective action, one grocery bag at a time. So I urge you to consider, along with me, what it means to consider the 7th generation in your decisions. As an example from students at my college, I want to give the example of the club, Students for Sustainability. We were out planting the food forest in order to help people who don't have enough food on campus. We plant edibles, food, and students can come and harvest them. We were planting apple trees, and it's actually really hard work to dig clay soil and plant apple trees. We had an international student who didn't know anything about apples, and he said, wait, it takes 5 years for an apple tree to grow enough to give us apples? Why are we planting apple trees? And the president leaned on a shovel and he said, you don't plant a tree for the people of today. You plant a tree for the people of tomorrow. And that's from Theo B., president of the club. Again, I urge you to, when making decisions about what you buy and how you live, consider how it will impact not only you and your children, but your descendants to the 5th generation. Those are my family's 3 sayings: do it now, you are enough, and consider the 7th generation. As you move to the next chapter in your lives, I hope you will remember the pride that we have in your successes so far. I hope also that you will remember the hope that we have for all that you can accomplish in the future. We, your family, your friends, and your academic institution, we are counting on you to make the world a better place. Congratulations and good luck.
Wonderful. I'm inspired. I'm going to do it now. Yes, let's commence. Our second speaker of the day, Antoinette Trim, is working from the Engaging Humor Level 4, woohoo, building skills, building a social media presence. Having been a Toastmaster for 3 years, our speaker has seen progress. Yes. Not only in being able to present face-to-face, but also being able to present in the virtual platform. Our next speaker likes to incorporate all the new ideas that we cover or talk about in our club meetings. And so today we get to listen to her speech, talk about some of those learnings. Please join me in welcoming Antoinette Trim. Antoinette.
You don't have to be great to start, but to start, you can become great. A quotation by Zig Ziglar. Good evening, Toastmaster of the day and my fellow Toastmasters. My journey onto the social platform began, believe it or not, when I joined Online Presenters. I learned many things about the virtual platform from Online Presenters. For example, looking straight ahead at the camera, I must be cognizant about my background and what I wear. I also must make sure that I have proper lighting. So when the leader of my church asked me to do a presentation on the church's Facebook page, I was delighted because I felt very confident that I would do a good job. And believe it or not, who trained me? You guessed it, Online Presenters. I learned many tips from Online Presenters. Other things that I learned were how to begin a speech by maybe using a quotation, like just what I did, as well as maybe start with a storyline. Other things also I learned about doing hand gestures. So when I incorporate all these things, I knew that I was very confident in being a presenter on our Facebook page, the Church of God Facebook page. The day of viewing, I contacted my camera person. Actually, I had to teach her one or two few things because where we did the setup was in a big room. So I made sure that the lighting was done properly. I also made sure that the background was well prepared. And when we started viewing, doing the camera work, she wanted to go right through she wanted to continue with the presentation. I told her, no, you have to do a trial run first, which we did. After which everything was downloaded onto the camera, onto the should I say, the computer. Then I transferred it by a WeTransfer to the Facebook administrator, and then it was placed on the Facebook page. I looked at it over and over to see where I could have done better or where I could have improved. And would you believe I got many views? And the instructor, or should I say the head of the church, said, I wanted to do another presentation, and I was really, really happy to do presentations on Facebook. And I'm very, very grateful to Online Presenters for helping me to get confident in doing virtual, be on the virtual platform. And I will encourage anyone to join Online Presenters. even I encourage my fellow Toastmasters at my club as well to join online presenters. Actually, I'm the guru for my local group because they would ask me certain things. Just imagine I tried the PowerPoint background that Roxana tried, did very well last time. And I tried it in my local club. And I got a call, Antoinette, how you did that? And I had to explain from telling the person to make sure that they have the latest Zoom and so on. I had to do it step by step. And she herself said, Antoinette, you're good. You're real good. And she will try it. And I felt very proud of myself that I'm the guru for that club. And I'm able to share my experiences. I'm able to share what I've learned from online presenters about the virtual platform of Zoom. I will continue to be present at the meetings, as many meetings as I can. So it's not so much that you're great when you start, but you have to start to be great. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Wonderful. So many lessons. Wow, love it. On to our third speaker. Over 25 years ago, Mary Ruth took an assessment that changed her life forever. From early childhood, we're talking really early childhood, she walked to a different drummer beat. She often felt out of place and misunderstood. After this assessment, though, she finally knew why. Today, Mary Ruth will share some of the joys and burdens of life in the 1%. Please join me in welcoming Mary Ruth Dilling, Innovative Planning, Level 2, Connect with your audience.
Thank you. Before I lost electricity, I had screen share ability. I don't now. I have a PowerPoint. I'm going to just go without the PowerPoint. As a professional, I am sure that many of you have heard of the very popular assessment tool, the Myers-Briggs test. The Myers-Briggs is one of the world's most popular tools of this type. It is used by more than 85% of the Fortune 500 companies in 115 countries. It is available in 29 languages. This assessment tool is used by many for self-awareness and improvement. It's not hard to understand either. This tool helps identify 4 different areas of personality: how you use and receive energy, how you take in information, how you decide and come to conclusions, and how you approach the outside world. If your preferences, your natural preferences in these 4 areas will create a unique, distinct personality type, one of 16. Understanding these types will give you objective insight that you can use to enhance your professional and personal relationships, as well as your direction, focus, and choices. If you have not utilized this tool, I strongly recommend it. Maybe, like me, you are a bit out of step with the world at large and do not know why others simply do not get you. I want to share a bit of my own personal insights from this test. I am an INFJ, which is the rarest personality type. I will go on and explain each of the letter designations. I, introversion. I am an introvert, but many consider me extroverted. I do enjoy being around people for a period of time. The main emphasis here is how you recharge. I must have time alone to recharge. Sensing is looking at the real world through our five senses, whereas myself, as an intuitive, gather information from association and my gut. Although I do observe things in the world around me, I assess those things from an intuitive standpoint, which I rely on heavily. A very unusual thing regarding INFJs and intuition is that we can sense people's emotions even when they're thousands of miles away. I have been on virtual meetings and I have been hit by overwhelming waves of feelings from the other person. It was crazy to me. I'm like, how am I doing this? I've learned that I have to set protective barriers to keep myself sane. Sometimes the other person's feelings are so overwhelming that they knock those barriers down. At this time, I must pull back and regroup in order to protect my mental wellness. Because of these barriers that I must keep in place, some people consider me standoffish or unfeeling. This could not be further from the truth. I feel too intensely. The barrier is just a way to protect. I'm very good at sensing phoniness. I can sense when people are not being completely honest. And people don't like that sometimes I understand them better than they understand themselves. Next is feeling. Instead of analyzing from an objective standpoint, I have a feeling response. I weigh decisions based on human values and motives. I make decisions based on personal values and what I personally think is better for everyone involved. This may sound arrogant, but INFJs do tend to offer the best options most of the time. It's that intuition thing. Because of my faith, I use the Bible as my standard for all decisions. Lastly, there is judging. Regarding how you look at the outside world, it sounds like a negative characteristic, but it simply means that I prefer to have things planned and well organized. And this may sound funny, considering that I often decide things in an intuitive standpoint very quickly. I can even decide something out of the blue on a situation because of a gut feeling. I'm actually a good planner. I love planning, but I will toss plans in a heartbeat if my gut yells at me. Intuition, intuitive, feeling, and judging. Before I took that test years ago, I was a confused, messed up young woman. I could not understand all the seemingly contradictions in my personality. This test surprised me by showing me the why I am the way I am. My life, I consider to be a life of sacrificial service, and it's a blessing and a curse. I have many friends, but that most do not understand. For me, life in the 1% is like living connected to the world as a one-way valve with having few connecting with you. We feel so intensely and think so deeply that the majority of surface dwellers in the world have no interest in making the effort to connect. I crave connection, but only if honest. Madam Toastmaster.
I feel like I really got to know you. And it looks like in our club, it's more than 1%. Yeah, all right. Well, that's a whole nother conversation that two or more of you can have with each other. Good job. We are now shifting to the fourth speaker. Are you ready? Have you done your homework? Where is your homework? That's the next speaker's leadership style. Will it work for you? It doesn't always work for him. Today, he will describe his leadership journey with the virtual Toastmasters convention and what he had to change to be more effective. He's speaking today from the Strategic Relationships Level 2, Learning Your Style, Understanding Your Leadership Style, with a speech titled, Where's Your Homework? Please give a warm welcome to Nik Lakhani.
Where's your homework? Where is it? Don't tell me the dog ate it again. Well, where's your homework was my leadership style for a long time. It was like a cross between a schoolmaster and a dictator. Well, how about this? Let's make it very simple. I was like a big dog. Bark, bark, bark. Smile. Bark once more. What I realize now is that particular style was like my dad. He was my hero. I did everything he did. He spoke a lot, and what he did was he listened selectively. Did it work for me? Not really. What happened was that I wasn't able to achieve, I wasn't able to be effective as a leader because I wasn't connecting enough with people. Either it was some sort of personality thing, perhaps I was too intense. Perhaps I was really excited about something and I couldn't get the other person excited. And I realize now I didn't have that connection. What happened was that the pandemic stepped in, and that, with a few other things that happened before, helped me realize that I needed to change. I needed to actually turn the volume down and turn the fun up. Now, what that means is, during the pandemic, what I learned is my new leadership style, which is the fun in the sun leadership style. The fun in the sun. Well, how did that come about, Nik? Well, I'm glad you asked me that. I was sitting in Mauritius, having wonderful margaritas on the virtual beach, just after delivering a speechcraft session with my good friend Christian. And I just said, wouldn't it be great to have an event for all those undistricted clubs out there? Why? Not because we have to, but because we can. And what a great after party we're going to have afterwards. Now, that has been the key for me, is to always involve the fun and make sure that anybody I work with, we have a good time before, during, and after. Let me wind it back a little bit. When the pandemic started, we all went online. Well, we were already online, we know that. But everybody else who went online suddenly found that they had things, they weren't skilled, they didn't have the experience. Yours truly was able to actually go and have the best version of my own style, my own leadership style, as well as actually getting people together to get things done. I was doing work in 3 districts, in District 91, in 71, and the undistricted district. What happened was, with my style, my kind of like fun kind of attitude, I was much more relaxed in myself because I was more confident. This is because I felt that I had all the answers, or I knew somebody who did. And that's something that set me apart, and that helped my confidence. But during this period of time, over March and April and May and June, I was building tribe of people. I was building tribes in these different districts that were coming with me and going to deliver more and more bigger, more complicated events, as well as going to the big after parties afterwards. We just had fun. Brilliant. Now, how did I apply this? One of the keys is, it's about the situation that happened to me last April and May, which was, I was getting more confident, I was more visible. And that's one of the things that led to me being asked to be president of Online Presenters. Brilliant, okay. But what it did was, it helped elevate me, gave me more confidence, have a nice have a nice carefree attitude. But what I did was, I promised 3 things: clarity, connection, and collaboration. And that's what we did within the club and outside of the club. And that's where the VTM comes in, because it gave us an opportunity to join with other clubs out there where we had clarity of purpose, we connected with each other inside and outside the club, and we collaborated to actually deliver high performance teams delivering high performing events. In terms of leadership opportunities, there was a lot more for people within the club. But again, my style was always fun in the sun. Let's just make it fun as much as we can, all the way through. For example, for the VTM conference in December, we actually ran the after party for 6 hours after the event. In the event that we're running in June, it's going to go on for a while. I don't know how long. We've got 2 days, maybe 6 or 7 hours each night. Who knows? But that's the point. If somebody is willing to be there, I'm going to be there, because not only do I want to go and thank people that work with me, to go and give people opportunities so that they can grow. Afterwards, let's have a virtual margarita. Let's get together and enjoy, reflect, and actually recognize the fact that what you've achieved. And that's the biggest goal for me, is to recognize those people who give, whether it's 5 minutes or 500 hours, it's still going to get recognized. For me, in summary, my last 15 months have been, let's make it fun. For you, if it's more fun and you don't get anything done, you've had some fun. For somebody else, if they've had fun and they don't get anything done, they've had some fun. But imagine if you actually get together and connect and not only have fun, but deliver something yourself. Try it out. Let me know. Fun in the sun all day long. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Virtual margaritas, huh? So we're going to hang out at some sandbar, enjoying them. Did I get that right? Oh, well, don't forget the mangoes. It is mango season. Yeah. So what do we do now? All right, we had 4 amazing speeches. Now the next step is to think, who was the best speaker? And I'm going to give a chance for our timer to tell us how we did on the timing. And you're going to make a note, a mental note, or you can physically write it on your papers that you have around your desk, and which speaker was the best. And Eliza Ann,
Alazan, I
sorry.
put the timing in the chat and we just have one disqualification.
Okay, so we can vote for, can you say it out loud for us?
We have Emily at 6 minutes, 24 seconds, Antoinette at 5 minutes, 29 seconds, Mary Ruth at 7 minutes, 53 seconds, Nik Lakhani at 7 minutes, 26 seconds.
Okay, so we're eligible to vote for Emily, Antoinette, or Nick. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. All right, so make a note. Who did you think was the best speaker? Going on to the next segment of our club meeting, we have table topics. Please join me in welcoming Christian Ramcher.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. All right. So table topics, what is it? Well, for the benefit of any guest here, speakers will be called upon at random, and they will be asked a question on which they will have 1 to 2 minutes to reply and try to win the best table topic speaker ribbon. Now, for the benefit of our timer, table topics run 1 minute at the green light is 1 minute, yellow light is 1 minute 30 seconds, and red light is 2 minutes. And what we're going to do things a bit differently. I'm going to share my screen, and you'll see a quote or a question, and you'll see a circle in blue where you have to do a specific action. So I'm just going to do a first demonstration. Here we go. Just give me a shout out if you can see my screen, because it is visible. And
Yes.
all right. And here's the first question. The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. Do you agree? The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. Do you agree? And this question goes to Birgit Starmans.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I absolutely agree with this quote, because it's very easy to just be very complacent and happy where you are right at this very moment. And if you're happy there, you're never going to move forward. You're never going to experience anything new. Now, sometimes we have that issue because we're afraid, or because maybe we really truly are happy at that place where we are. But the longer we just stay in place, the less growth it is. And even if you're in an island, there's this thing called island fever, where you need to get off the island and experience something else at some point in time. So even if you decide to stay, most likely you're not going to be very happy with that decision. So you do need to make a decision to move forward, because not making a decision is also a decision. Not deciding to move forward is also a decision. So it is a way to move forward. And sometimes it's very intimidating if you have a very, very large ambition or goal. But again, you can't boil the ocean. And so you need to take one step at a time. And as you take those individual steps, you're going to start moving closer to that. Now, sometimes there's going to be a step back, and there's that very popular internet joke. Taking 2 steps back after taking 3 steps forward is not a tragedy. It is a cha-cha. You might have seen that before on Facebook, but it's very true. Sometimes there's a little bit of going backwards before you can move forward. But we can only move forward if we decide to take that very first step. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And I do live on an island. Thank you for that. All right, here's the next question. No matter how hard the past is, you can always begin again. Please share a life lesson on this quote. No matter how hard the past is, you can always begin again. Please share a life lesson on this quote. And this question goes to, whoops, going to stop my share. This question goes to none other than Jim Gold.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Yeah, I think it's true that hardships during life kind of form who you are in later life. And sometimes a hardship may be large, and sometimes they may seem large, but aren't really. And I think we all go through some of these changes, and they kind of forge who we become. I had, like many of us, a change in business. In 1985, I needed to leave where I was. I was on an island, and I needed to sell the business and move to Florida and change my life. And I was able to do that. I went back to school, and out of that little bit of adversarial problem, I think I came out of it okay. I'm so much happier now. Things are worked out for me. Next year, we're going to be going around the world twice. Couldn't have done that back in 1985. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jim. Thank you, and all the best for your trip next year. All right, here's the next question. You might have seen this as I messed up earlier. Failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. How easy is it for you? Failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. How easy is it for you? And this question goes to Laura de Anda.
Fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Topics Master, and fellow guests, it may not necessarily be easy to, and I forgot the quote, to try again, but there is always the try. I think of Yoda, just try again. There is no failure. There is never a failure, but there is always the opportunity to learn a little. And I would say that I am someone who absolutely loves the learning process. And so in that sense, a failure may occur. That's fine. That's okay. Just taking the next step is what I'm able to do, and what I would encourage everyone else to do. And with that, I'm going to pass it on back to you, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, madam. It was a challenging question. I'm so happy I'm not replying to it, but thank you. All right, here's the next question. Dr. Zeus says, being crazy isn't enough. So what else do we need? Being crazy isn't enough. So what else do we need? And this question goes to BDC.
I love that you picked this question for me, because Dr. Seuss actually is born and raised in the town right next to where I live, Springfield, Massachusetts. And a lot of his books reference things that are from this town. His earliest book, which is known as I heard it on Mulberry Street. There actually is a Mulberry Street, and my wife used to work on it. It's not as crazy as it sounds in the book. But I think the most important thing when we talk about your ability to be crazy is your ability to not be constrained. When I think about what people define as crazy, there's multiple levels of crazy. There is the crazy when you go to someone's town and you see a really weird person, like, what's the deal with that? And they're like, oh, that's just horseback Jesus, don't worry about it. And you're like, wait, what? There's a lot of things we needed to unpack with this statement. But again, just the words alone solved what the problem is. And then there's crazy ideas where people just don't understand the true value of what they have said. They don't understand the impact of what it is that you're talking about. And I think that second type of crazy is the crazy I think we all should be striving for constantly. There is value in this world in your ability to have dissent, to go against the flow. And when you recognize in yourself that true dissent, that ability to say, I'm going to do this because I believe in this. And I don't care if I'm the only person out there who's going to wear socks with sandals. You should always wear socks because socks protect your feet. Why would you not wear socks with either sandals? If you're willing to do that, that is a good crazy. And that's what Dr. Seuss believed in. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster BDC. I'm just holding myself not to start laughing here. Everything was just philosophical and inspiring until it came to the sandal spot. Having said that, let's move on to the last question of this table topic segment. Now, talking about new beginnings, here's a question that I'm going to share to someone, to set someone specific. Without our members, our club will not exist. Do you agree? Without our members, our club will not exist. Do you agree? And this question goes to Lou Brown.
Thank you, Topics Master. What an easy question. I can't believe how easy this one is. Hello, our club wouldn't certainly not exist without our members. Our club wouldn't be as awesome as it is without our members. Our club wouldn't be as diverse, as fun, as crazy. I mean, folks like BDC, I mean, heck, you know, how many times you get to meet someone like him, especially when he's in his alligator uniform. And we have Nik, our DJ. We have Carol. I guess I think of Carol as our resident Toastmaster guru, since she knows pretty much everything about Toastmaster. We have so many of our crazy, oh my goodness, Dave, our tech master, Lucas, our VTMCon expert, and Emily. I kind of think of Emily as our resident teacher because I know you teach. I know, Carol, you teach as well. I just think of teaching when I think of Emily. And you know what? I really could go on. And I will say that is one of the things I really like the most about this club is the fact that we just get to know each other very well. Everything that who we are, what we do, you know, our backgrounds and so forth, because of the fact that we have our little warm-up exercise at the beginning. We have our 6-hour networking sessions right after BTM Con days and so forth. I mean, it's just really wonderful how much we are like a family here. And I will say in my communications with potential members, with folks who are just inquiring about our club and so forth, that is the word I always use. I don't say our club. I don't say our networking group, anything like that. I say it's our family. Because quite honestly, I hope all of you agree with me when I say that I really look to all of you folks as family, and I couldn't ask for a better one. Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lou Brown. And I'd like to remind everyone, Lou Brown is our incoming president. Wow. On this note, thank you everyone for participating. I had lots of questions remaining, but hey, because of time, I'm handing back to our Toastmaster of the evening. Toastmaster Carol, over to you.
Thank you. That was fun. I love quotes and I loved listening to all these answers. Now, what I want you to do is think which one was the best speaker of all the table topics. And I'm going to ask our timer to give us the times orally as well as in chat if possible. Our voting will happen at the end of today's meeting. So make sure you stay on so you can vote. And we will have a poll come up right on your screen and you get to vote for your top speaker, your top evaluator, and your top tables topics speaker. Eliza Ann?
Thank you so much. So our table topics time for Birgit, it's 1 minute 41 seconds. Jim Gould, 1 minute 29 seconds. Leandra, 57 seconds. DBC, 1 minute 34 seconds. And Luke Brown, 1 minute 47 seconds. I'll be posting it in the chat in a few minutes.
Great. So it sounds like we can vote for Birgit, Jim, BDC, and Lou. Did I get that right?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, thanks so much. And with that, let's shift into the third segment of our meeting. Woohoo! Yeah. All right. Our third segment is all about evaluations. And some people think that this is the most important part of the meeting. Why? Because this is where we really get positive and supportive feedback to help us improve and grow. And a lot of us are here for that very purpose. Let's get that improvement and growing and education get it warm and fuzzy at the same time. What about that? Please join me in welcoming our first evaluator, Jim Barber, who gets to evaluate Emily Thompson's speech. Jim.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guest this evening, morning, or whatever, and especially Dr. Emily Thompson. Emily tonight gave a commencement address. Her presentation was designed to inspire her audience, salute their achievement, and challenge them to go out into the world and make a difference. Congratulations, Emily. You did all those three things very well. You accomplished it. That was great. Let's get down to specifics. I made a list of all the things that you did well: eye contact, your online presence, your speech structure, your diction, your pauses. I could go on and on, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm not going to waste your time. You know how good you are, and you were hitting on all cylinders. This was terrific. Instead, let me go to the things that you did wrong, that you need to work on. Okay, that was fast. This was a textbook presentation. You did, in my opinion, you did everything right. However, I do have one suggestion. I want to emphasize that this was not anything that you did wrong. It's simply something that I think might take a great presentation and make it even better. To review, you addressed the three family sayings. You reminded everybody of three family sayings that were influential to you. The first was, do it now. Okay, I like that. The second one, you are enough. Okay, I like that. The third was, consider the seventh generation. Say what? When you said consider the seventh generation, I sat up. I was listening before that, but I really became attentive because I didn't know what you were talking about. I had a suspicion of what you might be talking about, and that was powerful. Do it now. You are enough. Those are okay, but you hear those an awful lot. But consider the seventh generation. That came out of left field. That was a surprise, and that is a challenge to everybody. So my suggestion is do the presentation exactly like you did tonight. You were effective, you were professional, you were great, but eliminate the first two sayings. Instead, concentrate on just the one thing of consider the seventh generation. And take the extra time that you have, the couple of minutes that you have by not addressing those other two quotations, and go into that third one in a little bit more depth. And that's it. Again, you did nothing wrong, but I think this would make it even better. You would take an engaging and powerful presentation and make it captivating and memorable. And I look forward to the opportunity of hearing when you do that. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jim. Our second evaluator is Surya Vangala, evaluating Antoinette Trim. Please join me in welcoming Surya.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And I would love to give you feedback as a gift. Antoinette, I truly enjoyed your speech. You commenced with capturing our attention with a wonderful quote, and your brilliant smile captured our hearts. You have a you have an excellent conversational style that draws in your audience. You gave us practical tips on how to build a social media presence, and you used a very relatable example of building your church's Facebook page. I'm sorry. So your quote to begin with was, you don't have to be great to start, you just have to be good to start. It was a Zig Ziglar quote, and being a famous personality, we could all relate to him. You did exceptionally well as an experienced Toastmaster. You talked about it and reminding us in incorporating ideas like looking straight at the camera, using a virtual background, proper lighting, proper hand gestures, and so on. So you did all those well. You also reminded us about doing a trial run with a cameraman so that you can work out the kinks and therefore prepare for a good social media presence and a video. Now, a couple of things that I felt you could, as examples for taking the speech to the next level. One thing I noticed, you have a habit of saying, should I say? You used it a couple of times. It's a phrase you tend to use, and perhaps you can drop it from your future speeches. Secondly, the speech, while you are commending all the tips you learned from the OP Club, I didn't get a sense of a strong call to action in your conclusion. You know, you were commending us, you were saying these are the tips I learned, but you know, a stronger conclusion would have helped to bring it home as a package deal. Finally, and this is something I also struggle with, Antoinette, I went back and checked. One of your objectives was not only to build a social media presence, but it was also engaging humor path. And that engaging humor was a bit missing in your speech tonight. Perhaps you could have said, I went to a teenager to learn how to build a social media, maybe a sense of humor there, that, you know, we adults have to learn from youngsters as well. Or perhaps you could have said something like, I had to do like 10 pilots before it actually posted, you know, something to bring that engaging humor in. But all in all, I love the way you built your speech. It was organized, systematic, and thank you for reminding us of the tips of presenting in this virtual stage. Madam Toastmaster.
Wonderful, Surya. Our third evaluator is Brian David Crawford, evaluating Mary Ruth Dilling.
Mary Ruth and fellow Toastmasters, I'm honored to have been here today to hear this speech because I feel this was a speech a lot of us needed to hear. Mary Ruth answered a ton of information. She gave us plenty of information, and I didn't feel overwhelmed with information. Like, you know, sometimes you watch like Congress and they just start throwing random numbers at you and you're just like, I really can't care anymore. Just give me free stuff. Mary Ruth answered the question of what is Myers-Briggs. She answered the question of what does INFJ mean. She understood what it was and what it didn't mean and how it meant and what was the opposite of this. And she really packed us with all this incredible, wonderful information in an easy to understand, digestible way that let me understand who she is and who she isn't. Because I think that's so important to understand when you talk about someone's personality. It's not just who they are, but who are they not? Because that will help you really get a better frame around someone. When someone says, I'm introverted, but what does that really mean? You have to understand what an extrovert sounds like. If there's an opportunity to take this speech to that next level, it's the fact that you didn't have a call to action. You had a perfect speech for a call to action. And I really mean a perfect speech. You told us something that impacted your life. You needed to hand it to us on the silver platter by saying, now you take the Myers-Briggs exam. You find out how this will impact your life. You give these things that help you understand and make you a stronger, more comfortable person. When you don't give us that platform, a lot of people in the audience, people like me who are slackers, are just going to go, that's neat. And then we're not going to do anything about it. We're not going to become better for it. You give us that call to action. Now all of a sudden we start Googling Myers-Briggs. We find out where we can get it. And then maybe we come back and go, Mary Ruth is incredible. She changed my life. When I think about times I've included a call to action in a speech, people remember it for years because I gave them something. I gave them something to walk away with. And this is the biggest thing your speech was lacking. If I was to think about what I would love to see you inspire to do next, I'd love you to think about your virtual background. If you look around our room, our virtual room, you can see people who have their actual physical room like me. You'll see some people who they blurred the background because maybe the room is a little messier than mine is, or maybe the room has got a little more knickknacks than I do. and they just want them to focus on you. Some people have that VTM Con background. You have this really very crazy, lovely bookshelf thing that has so many things that I'm looking at. I can see Portland over here and I see this over here, and it takes away from your speech. If you're going to go use a virtual background, pick something that's going to enhance your speech, something that's going to make us think about Myers-Briggs, INFJ, something like that, that's really going to focus us in and be an addition to your speech, not something that may distract us from your speech. Overall, I loved hearing your speech. I look forward to hearing more. Thank you very much, Mrs. Toastmaster.
All right, whatever she's called. All right, thank you so much. Our fourth evaluator today is Rosanna Duncanson. Please join me in welcoming Rosanna, evaluating Nik Lakhani.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. I have the great pleasure of evaluating our president, Nik Lakhani, tonight as he outlines his leadership style. Where's your homework? I appreciated how you opened up, giving us that correlation between where's your homework and the dictator schoolmaster, and outlining how that did not line up to your leadership style. You kind of outlined how it was challenging for you to take your father's leadership style on, and you found your own fun in the sun leadership style. I appreciated how you related your style to the various things you've been doing with VTM Con and our club, and you truly helped us to relate and connect the style to what you're doing. Now, understanding your leadership style, I would have loved for you to go into more detail on how this style really relates to why it benefited you versus the previous style. You gave us a lot of details about it being fun and why fun is good and the collaborative type of leader, but you didn't really give us a lot more of why this style would work, one, for you, and why we should consider our styles as well. The other thing I noted is you had body language that you were using throughout your speech, but because of the way you positioned yourself in the chair, it's kind of hard to determine how your body language truly applied to the components of your speech. And so if you wanted to take the approach of being relaxed, I would perhaps like to see you kind of have a more structured seating position first, and then use the relaxing to correlate to the fun part of being on the beach or the margaritas or the party, so that your language and your body kind of tied into your speech positioning. The other thing too is you have a lot of room that I noticed in the background. And so you could, if you wanted to challenge yourself to stand up, perhaps maybe, and use more of the area, use more of your arms. We can see truly how those things work. The other thing I noted too is you didn't let us kind of determine how we can relate to that style and how it worked with us ourselves. And so perhaps maybe a call to action of sorts to say, by the way, this is why you should identify or know your leadership style, and help us to find ways of maybe the other ones that may not have been the dictator style or the collaborative style, but other ways that we can determine our style as well. But all in all, great way of being creative with naming the styles and helping us to relate your styles to the activities that you've done with VTM Con and the club. Thank you, Mr. President. Nik, back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Wonderful, thank you. Madam Timer, how did we do on the evaluation portion?
For the evaluation portion, Jim Barber, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Soria, 3 minutes, 19 seconds. BDC, 3 minutes, 9 seconds. And Rosina, 2 minutes and 34 seconds. I'll put it in the chat as well.
So all are qualified. Fantastic. Now the poll is ready. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. Post up on the screen. Thank you, Christian. And get that up there. And I'd like you to vote. Make it real quick because we have a general evaluation to go to. Did you vote yet? Did you vote? Okay, please join me. I'm going to skip over the helpers report right yet, but we're going to come to your helpers report in just a second. Please join me in welcoming our guest evaluator, Jenny Liu. Jenny?
Thank you, Carol. Thanks for letting me be your guest general evaluator. I'm going to comment on how well this meeting went and maybe some tips to level it up a notch in terms of the organization, content, and delivery. Organization, gosh, you guys are one of the most structured clubs, especially online. Not only was the meeting cohesive throughout with the meeting theme, with the speeches and the table topics, but it had depth, it went globally, and that is even before the meeting start, went in from Boston all the way to England and you name it. It covered the gamut, and it's definitely one of the most organized clubs. Second, in terms of content, I really enjoyed the meeting roles, how you maximize participation with additional roles such as the watcher, the chat monitor, and all sorts of ways to engage the attendees before the meeting, during the meeting, and I hope after the meeting continues. Third, in terms of delivery, that is a kudos to the ambiance of this club and your president, Nik Lakhani, for setting the tone. There is so much humor with the callbacks to release the tension and play on everyone's comments ranging from mangoes to rotaries to God knows what. It just shows how you flow with the dynamics even online. And that's a kudos to this club that gives it a competitive and differentiated edge. Maybe some things to take it up a notch. Think about the intros, right? So you spent 30 minutes on intros, which I love, but sometimes guests who are not familiar with Toastmasters, they may want to be hooked into the speeches or table topics quicker. And so maybe think about splitting your intros either during the break in the midway or finding a way to maybe use a framework. So our club is going to try to use the user story framework. You know, as a role, I want this feature so that I get this benefit. So as a professional, I want to learn how to give online presentations so that I can be more effective with digital storytelling, right? Just something to make the introductions more streamlined so that it maximizes effective use of your time for your meeting, all the great elements of your meeting. Second, in terms of feedback, love the fact that you're integrating a seamless experience within Zoom without going outside of Google Forms and using the poll feature. One thing that can maybe enhance your feedback, which is definitely depth and quality from the evaluators, is also maybe some clubs use a scoring, giving a rating. So quickly, speakers can see on a rating of 1 to 5, roughly, are they improving? There's a quantitative component to it. Again, just adding a level of, compellingness to your feedback by using the tools available. And third, love the fact that you guys use the mute instead of a clap off, which can be noisy, but was hoping that maybe you want to take advantage of some of the virtual speech and evaluation tips. So it just happens that one of my former club members, Erin Sampson, is a world champ of public speaking finalist and gave a webinar on how to give effective online speeches by using your pivoting of your heads. There's certain things that don't translate from on stage to the digital arena or stage. So think about maybe leveling that up. Otherwise, this was an awesome meeting and I'm over. So back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. I loved listening to different perspectives. That's what makes this club so awesome. Please join me in welcoming our watcher, Jeanette Francois.
Yes, online presenters, members, let's have some fun in the sun. You were wonderful tonight. I saw, wow, I'm just exasperated. I don't know if that's a word. Maybe I invented it, but that's the word that I chose to describe all of you today. It's very magnificent to watch all of you on the screens. You were all well framed. I saw the VTM Con ads for the June event. You were all smiling. Really? I'm gonna have some margarita for you. Back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Oh, thank you. Woohoo! There's a lot of drinking going on here tonight, whether it be coffee cups or what. All right, moving on. We have a chat monitor. Lois, take it away.
Thank you so very much. We had a very busy chat going on. Elaine told us that we need Zoom masters for VTM Con. Sakashore was very nice to mention to Emily that he's looking forward to his commencement ceremony next week, and he appreciated your speech. Emily commented on how fabulous a leader Nik was, and I think everybody agreed with that. Andy's recruiting for one of his clubs on Wednesday at 11:45. And Jim Barber, I don't know if you're going to win everything else, but you took the cake because we found out you are wise beyond your years because you put socks on your feet. And Antoinette reminded us that you put your socks over your shoes. I'd like to see that feat. But other than that, it was a fun day in the chat. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. I'm also with I guess the sort of general evaluator, making things move smoothly through the rest of the meeting. And with that, how did we do on the word of the day? We did. We commenced. We're doing pretty dang good at it. So I heard about 4 people speak using that word, and the word commencement, of course, is a derivative. And so we give extra kudos to our speaker that just happened to be speaking on the topic of commencement. Passing it back to our president, Nik Lakhani.
Thank you very much, Carol. Great job, everybody. What we're going to do, we're going to have a chat with guests after we close the meeting. Just a quick thing, get in touch with people at VTM Con to volunteer. We'll see you back next Monday night, 7:15 for 7:45, and we're going to stop the recording and talk to some guests.
Winners, who's the winners?
Okay, so who are the winners? Okay, here we go. Best table topic, Birgit. Best evaluator, BDC. And best speaker, Emily. Well done, all 3 of you.
Woohoo, good job.
So, Christian, please stop the recording. Let's talk to some